For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. It always seems impossible until it's done. Do not judge me by my successes, judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. Real leaders must be ready to sacrifice all for the freedom of their people. It is better to lead from behind and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory when nice things occur. You take the front line when there is danger. Then people will appreciate your leadership. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. Money won't create success, the freedom to make it will. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal that I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. I am not an optimist, but a great believer of hope. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. I like friends who have independent minds because they tend to make you see problems from all angles. There is no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. In the end, reconciliation is a spiritual process, which requires more than just a legal framework. It has to happen in the hearts and minds of people. It is not the kings and generals that make history but the masses of the people, the workers, the peasants. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of you, the people. We must use time wisely and forever realize that the time is always ripe to do right. There is no easy walk to freedom anywhere, and many of us will have to pass through the valley of the shadow of death again and again before we reach the mountaintop of our desires. A good leader can engage in a debate frankly and thoroughly, knowing that at the end he and the other side must be closer, and thus emerge stronger. You don't have that idea when you are arrogant, superficial, and uninformed. It is never my custom to use words lightly. If 27 years in prison have done anything to us, it was to use the silence of solitude to make us understand how precious words are and how real speech is in its impact on the way people live and die. Difficulties break some men but make others. No axe is sharp enough to cut the soul of a sinner who keeps on trying, one armed with the hope that he will rise even in the end. There is no such thing as part freedom. There is no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. If you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. Then he becomes your partner. Our human compassion binds us the one to the other, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into hope for the future. The power of imagination created the illusion that my vision went much farther than the naked eye could actually see. Courageous people do not fear forgiving, for the sake of peace. There are times when a leader must move out ahead of the flock, go off in a new direction, confident that he is leading his people the right way. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying. We must use whatever means possible to bring about the change until justice is served, because if things do not change, they will remain the same. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. Let there be work, bread, water, and salt for all. It always seems impossible until it's done. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. We can change the world and make it a better place. It is in your hands to make a difference. I am fundamentally an optimist. Whether that comes from nature or nurture, I cannot say. Part of being optimistic is keeping one's head pointed toward the sun, one's feet moving forward. I have walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter, I have made missteps along the way. But I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. When a man is denied the right to live the life he believes in, he has no choice but to become an outlaw. In the end, reconciliation is a spiritual process, which requires more than just a legal framework. It has to happen in the hearts and minds of people.